Morning guys, welcome to the first episode of the hybrid cut. So we're gonna start cutting. Someone who likes to lift and run. I'm gonna show you guys how I do it over the next couple of weeks. But as you guys know from my 100-mile race, if you've been keeping along, I've been trying to recomp and we've been documenting that, but now I really want to go into a cut. So that's what I'm going to document. I've got up to the morning weight that you guys saw. I raced around 200 pounds in the morning. Now I'm up about 6 pounds. Still relatively lean, gained a little bit of fat. So I'm going to do like a little cut and get down and show you guys just how I do it for summer. And I feel like this is just really relatable. A lot of people have that little bit of body fat that they want to get rid of. For me, I can never be lean enough. That's just my mindset. You know, everybody feels that way. They always look at themselves and they're like, oh, I could lose here, I could lose there. But overall, I just want to get lighter so I can be faster, stronger, and overall just more healthier. So that's the goal. As you guys know, I do sign up for these events, these crazy events. So after the 100-mile race, I was like, you know, I kind of want to really try something. So I want to get leaner and faster to try my next event that I will announce soon. But overall, this is going to be like the content for the next few weeks. We're going to just document vlog type styles, show you guys how I implement it. Like today, going out to eat with my girlfriend and showing you guys how I include it in my life, and also just give you guys the roundabout idea of how starting your diet, since this is day one. So being day one, let's just talk about shit, go through life, include it in life. Fitness should only enhance your life, not take away from it. So we're gonna do that on the cut and show you guys how we do it. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, as I get into this run, 6 miles into 7, there's gonna be times in a run where you wanna quit, but remove quit from your vocabulary. Quit doesn't exist if you don't have it in your mind, and if you don't give yourself the option. During my 100-mile race, I didn't even think about quitting because that isn't who I am. That's not what I do. And if you wanna be a certified dictionary loser, it means you quit, which means you lose. And we don't quit. We're not losers here. We get after it. So you're gonna finish this strong, not fucking quit. All right, post-run, I'm gonna show you guys what I eat, my go-to post-run meal, and what I eat around lunchtime. It's kind of like a breakfast lunch. I love eating like breakfast for lunch. I don't know why. It is what it is. I like it. It's easy to prep. And yeah, so let's dive in. So right here is a Star-Kissed ranch tuna packet on a bagel and some feta cheese. So I just use this reduced feta cheese and then white cheddar seasoning, popcorn seasoning, everything bagel seasoning. And then here I have 70 grams of avocado, 250 grams of egg whites, and 2 eggs with peppers and onions. And this is gonna be meal number 1. What's up guys? Welcome to talking about macros and how to set up diet, all the fun shit. So summer's coming around, as I said, and I'm starting to diet. It's just kind of the way I'm going about some things. So let's talk about diet. Now, I'm going to really dive into this because this is the most important part when it comes to weight training, when it comes to performance in the gym, when it comes to performance running. Nutrition is everything. The reason is because what you burn in calorie wise, unfortunately, is way easier to eat. And it took me a while to realize this, and partly because my ego at the time, I thought I could eat whatever the hell I wanted and just look like a superstar, but it doesn't work like that. So I'll share with you guys how I structure my diet to be more loose with it, because tracking calories, like I said, I'm going to be real with you guys. Tracking calories can be very, very disruptive to your mind for some people. And that's for me. Now, do I do it still? On occasion, yes. And I'll explain how I set my diet up to do that. But also how I set my diet up to allow me more freedom, so I'm not really worrying about those like little minor details and how you can do so. So to start off, cutting phase, what you want to do is you want to calculate your maintenance based on your activity level. I suggest going into tdecalculator.net or .com, whatever it is, and look up a calorie calculator and then type in your age, weight, estimated activity. I like to say if you're over 10,000 steps, go to with like moderate activity. If you're like working out on top of that, say you're doing 2 sessions a day, you should be in that extreme activity. So that's kind of how I go about it. I've calculated my macros to be anywhere from 3,200 on the average day right now, as I'm not really training for anything, just running 20 to 25 miles a week and then lifting 4 to 5 times a week. I know my calorie range is anywhere from 3,000 to 3,200. So with that being said, what I want you to do is once you find that number, I'm going to use myself as an example. You do a 500 calorie deficit from that number. So 3,000 is that number that is my maintenance to 3,200. So I'll keep that reference range between 25 and 2,700. That allows me, depending on how activity and how high my activity is for the day, if it's higher, if I know that I burned a substantial amount of more calories, I'll eat 2,700. If I know I didn't move as much, I'll eat that 2,500. So I keep it in like a reference range of 200. Now that's a little different approach. Some people like to keep it baseline consistent all across the board, and that can be good. But when it comes to training multiple ways and you're not like super consistent on your runs or your weight training, say some days your activity's higher, I think that you kind of have to adjust for that, right? Because it's like, just like I always say, if the car's not moving in the parking lot and you keep filling it with gas, it's going to overflow. But if you're using that car, it's going to burn the gas up. So that's why I like to have that 200 calorie buffer. So it gives me the flexibility, not like obsessing over macros. And to dive more into that kind of topic, what I do is I eat relatively the same foods. Also, I've been tracking for 5-6 years. And when you track that long, you understand what portion sizes look like. Now, with that being said, I eat the same meals, so I don't have to go on my phone and enter it into MyFitnessPal every time. I just pull out my scale. I eat the same meals most of the time because I enjoy them. So find foods you enjoy, find meals you enjoy, and just eat those consistently. If you want to change something up, find a meal similar to that original meal in terms of macros, and then eat that for the next week and replace it that way. And that's the best way. That way you're not going into your phone and you're constantly like, oh, what do I have to eat here? You just like are more structured with it. And honestly, the more simple and consistent you are, the better results you're going to see. My next tip with like meal timing when you're cutting is going to be a little different than a lot of people. I call it protein leveraging. So like what I do is I like to prioritize protein in the morning. So I'll only have a protein coffee. Now, if I'm going for like a 13 or a 10-mile run, for any reason, like I'm not doing that right now, but if I am, I'm going to have some carbs. But normally I'm not having carbs before my run. And I know I made a video before this, how to fuel hybrid training. You should watch that. That's not necessarily to lose weight. You can do it to lose weight if that works for you. But for me to lose weight, I find it best to just keep my runs shorter. And that way it doesn't take away from my weight training. And also it allows me to push back those carbs and those calories later on in the day when I crave them more. Because when I wake up, if I'm really hungry, I'll have a protein coffee. If I'm not, I'll run fasted with some electrolytes and then I'll have a protein coffee after. And then after that, I'll have my first meal with carbs to replenish from that run. And then after I'm done with work, I'll have my pre-workout meal, and then I'll go to the gym. And then after the gym, it'll be 6:30, I'll have my final meal. And then if I have any calories left, I'll have like a dark chocolate or two, just like a little square, get some healthy fats in, and also it curbs the cravings pretty good. So that's how I go about my meals. Overall structure is If I'm going to eat anything before 12 or 1 o'clock, it's going to be a protein shake. If I'm really hungry before my run, I'll have a protein shake. If I finish the run, I just won't eat until 12 or 1 o'clock. So I push my first meal back. I'm going to have that first meal around 12 or 1 o'clock, which is going to have around 50 to 60 grams of protein in it. And then I'll have some carbs, just a little bit, and some fat. Now I try to get in a little more fat in that meal just because it's going to help slow the digestion down and keep me fuller for longer. So higher protein, higher fat that first meal, a little bit of carbs in there, as you saw from my meal, which was tuna, bagel, and eggs and avocados. So it has the fats, a little bit of carbs from the bread, and then it's pretty high in protein considering I had tuna and eggs, egg whites. Then after that, I'll have a high protein meal with just carbs in it. So normally it's just a scoop of BPM protein and some yogurt with some fruit. And then for dinner, I'll have a whole pound of beef, or I'll have salmon, or I'll have chicken and avocado. And I try to put that meal as my biggest meal. So that way I go to bed satiated. I'll have normally potatoes with it because potatoes are the most satiating carbohydrate. So I'll have potatoes with that meal. So essentially, just to break it down really simple, protein in the morning. If I'm going to have anything, it's going to be a protein shake with my coffee. For lunch, it's going to be a high protein meal with a good amount of fat and a little bit of carbs to slow the digestion to keep me from being hungry. Around 4 or 3:30, once I'm done with work, I'll have my pre-workout meal, which is high in protein, normally mixed with yogurt and some fruit. And then after the workout, it'll be around 6, 7. I'll have my final dinner, which is normally around 1,000 calories, consisting of beef, fish, and a potato, some sort of potato, whether sweet potato or a white potato, sometimes rice, and some vegetables. So that's kind of like the way my diet is. I aim, I didn't say this, but I aim for 1 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. That's on the higher side because it keeps me satiated, helps me recover. I found that works the best for me. I keep my fat around 80 to 90 grams. And for me, I like my carbs lower when I'm cutting because it keeps me more satiated with the high protein, high fat. So that's the diet. With that being said, let's get into the weight training session. We're going to go hit an awesome workout. Hope that was super simple for you. Don't obsess over the macros. Like I'm telling you guys, this is like when you obsess over the small, minute details, all you'll think about is food. So make it simple. Just because you are 100 calories over doesn't mean you have to go binge. I'm saying this because I did that shit. Okay. Like if you lose one tooth, that doesn't make sense for someone to go knock out all of them. You lost one. You go over your calories. It is what it is. And the reality of it is, just don't keep eating, because the more calories you're eating after that, the more you gotta burn off and the more you're setting yourself back. So just get in that mindset that it's not all or nothing. It's what you do over a long period of time. Second off, nobody's coming to save you. That's the reality of all this shit. Whatever you want, whether that's lose weight, run a marathon, run an ultra marathon, do an Ironman, all this shit, nobody's coming to save you. That's the biggest lesson that I learned in life. If you want something, you got to go get it for yourself. Now I can be soft. We're going to go work out. Take you guys through a shoulder workout. I was just genuinely spitting facts. Again, these head moments. This is what I say to my shit. Like when I'm like everybody. When I'm dieting, I'm like, oh, I could do this, I could do that. But in reality, like the more I get in my head and I try to make excuses, I'm like, no, nobody's coming to save you. Like, you don't need that shit. You don't need the cookies, the chocolate. It sounds good, but nobody's coming to save you. So post lift, this is kind of like how I try to stay satiated. Honestly, I do this whether maintaining, bulking, or cutting. But essentially all it is a scoop of whey protein, BPN, 1.5 scoops actually. I use fudge chocolate, some skinny syrup, just to sweeten it up a little bit. And then this is the protein ice cream. I just throw it into a blender. Now I do have a Ninja Creamy, but this is more like a frosty texture. I don't know if you guys ever had Wendy's, like in your hometown or whatever. I grew up in a really small town and like Wendy's was the shit. And like, this is just like a Wendy's frosty. Look at that. So yeah, this is gonna be the post-workout meal. Protein. And I like to stock up on protein before I go out to eat because mainly they just jack up the fat and the carbs and they give you small portions of protein. So I'm trying to get it in right now. So yeah. All right, so we're ready to go out to dinner. I'm gonna show you guys, of course, what I get. Out to eat, staying on plan, but I wanna show you guys. I got a tattoo for my 100-mile ultra marathon, and it says endure in that, and it's because I read the book. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but there's a closer look. But there's a book that I read over and over again by Cameron Haynes, and it's endure. It just talks about like in life how you go through these, like just like hunting. I don't know if you guys hunt, but if you don't, just like anything, you go through these like valleys and peaks and hard times, whether that's training, life in general and shit that gets really hard. The only way to pursue and get through that is to keep enduring and to keep pushing. And I said this in my 100-mile race and my ultra marathon. If you haven't watched that video, go check it out. I just talk about like in the race, there's so many times when I wanted to quit. There's so many times where I was at the lowest of lows, like I was literally crying mile 40, and I had 60 more miles to go on like messed up feet, tired legs. But that's when endure comes in. That's when endurance, running, all this shit ties together. Like when you are running and it gets hard, you got to endure to overcome that run, and you get through it and you feel amazing. And on the other side of the run, you hit the endorphins and everything feels good. But in that moment, it sucks. And if you don't ever get out of that moment, or if you quit in that run, or if you quit in that workout, or if you quit in that job, you end up staying as a quitter. And like I hate saying this, but I think a quitter is a certified loser. I don't hate saying it's just me being real. So I think of endure in that book as you got to be able to endure the hard times in order to appreciate the good times. That's another reason. I know I'm just showing you guys my tattoos, but that's another reason I have discipline equals freedom on my wrist. Like I said in my ultra marathon in the video, without the discipline to push through those hard moments, I wouldn't have had the freedom to experience those beautiful moments of crossing the finish line, of celebrating it with my girlfriend, my family, and everybody that was out there. And for those just like watching my videos, maybe I just hope it helped change someone's life and motivated them to push through something, whether that's an ultra marathon or sign up for a race that you wouldn't have thought you could. Because at the end of the day, on some real stuff here, you know, you only got one life. And if you don't ever try something that scares you and know that your back's going to be against the wall at some point, like what's life? You know, we don't sign up for life because it's easy. Life isn't supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be hard. You're supposed to challenge yourself. And I truly think that life's all about failing or facing challenges and overcoming them. And the only way you overcome things is with endurance. So that's why I got that. And the arrow is just from me bow hunting and like keep moving forward. As I said in my ultra marathon race, you just got to keep moving forward just like an arrow until it hits the deer or the target. It's going to keep flying and keep going until it gets where it wants to be. And that's life. Yeah, I know you guys don't normally see this part of me, but this is the kind of content we're gonna make. More lifestyle stuff, and just like, yeah, hanging out. We're gonna go also Lowe's, Home Depot on some. I never thought I'd be excited to go to Lowe's, Home Depot, but we're excited for that. And we have some appliances that we have to get, and yeah, it's gonna be a good time. The wifey.
Okay. We're good.
She's still camera shy, even though she's behind the camera. But yeah, I'll see you guys at dinner. Probably gonna eat good. Saved up calories, had high protein throughout the day, and just calorie banked. I look at like eating out just like you would in an investment, or like fitness should only enhance your life. Dieting doesn't have to be hard. Just like anything, like I literally just talked about, there's gonna be hard points where you're hungry in the day, but it all goes in waves. You just keep going, keep pushing through it. Like I was hungry at 3 o'clock, had that protein ice cream, and then I'm hungry in the mornings. I have that protein coffee, and then I'm good. So just prioritize protein. Roughly track your calories. Don't be obsessive about it. I got 1,400 calories to chill on and bank up. If it's almost like you go shopping and it's like, hey, I might go blow my money on this one store. Well, then you don't have any money to go shop anywhere else and enjoy it. So look at it like that, like an investment. But yeah, with that being said, gonna go out to dinner. Gotta get a haircut. Looking like a freaking mop on my head. Might send a mullet like this if I should send a mullet. But yeah, see you guys at dinner. Dinner time.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, it is the next day. We are 1 day into the cut. So as you guys saw, went out to dinner, had a good time. But like I said, you don't have to sacrifice everything. I strongly encourage, like, think of it as like a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not like, oh, how fast can I get this off? If you have a deadline or whatever, you have to account for that, right? But most of us are trying to keep it off in the long run, and if you lose weight too fast, it's not sustainable. You're not going to stick to it. So I encourage you to maybe go out once a week and have a little freedom calorie bank, eat that protein early on, so that way you can guesstimate around about how many calories that you need, and that's what I did. So yeah, day 1 in the books. Excited for this journey. We're going to be uploading every week and just take you guys through the cut. So with that being said, like, comment, subscribe, stay corn fed. Much love. It's going to be a great journey. Let's do this shit.